Good evening, everyone. I'm going to call to order the special council meeting here at the City of Summerside for August 9th, 2023. It set to start at 6 p.m. and it being 6 p.m. I'm going to make a motion for approval of the agenda, but I do have two little things to adjust here. Just a minor change. Page 3, I think the numbering was an error, so item 6 is numbered as item 4, so that'll just be, can make a note on your agendas. And the other is, I'm going to add the collaboration agreement between the City of Summerside and La Belle Alliance as item 7, and that we're waiting for approval from for the text from La Belle Alliance by the time the agenda went out. We've since got it, and we have a timeline on that. So with that addition of 7 and the amendment on page 3, I'll call for a motion to approve the agenda as presented. Councillor Adams, second. Councillor Gallant, all in favor of the agenda as presented? Any opposed? None. The agenda will continue. We'll continue with that agenda. Land acknowledgement. We acknowledge that the land upon which we gather is unceded Mi'kmaq territory. Abogway is covered by the historic treaties of peace and friendship. We pay our respects to the Indigenous people who have occupied this island for over 12,000 years, past, present, and future. At this point, I'll move to item 4, a conflict of interest declaration. Any councillors have any conflict of interest to declare with respect to any item on the agenda as presented? Hearing none, I'll be done most of my part, and I'll pass it along to Councillor Duron for items 5 and 6. Councillor.
All right, thank you, Your Worship. We'll begin with the background. I guess first of all, this is with regards to 489 North Market Street, an application for discretionary use. Background, an application was received from Bruce Palmer for 489 North Market Street, PID number 302711. This application will require City Council approval to allow an apartment, 4 units, as a discretionary use in the medium-density residential R3 zone. The applicant has indicated that the existing single-family dwelling will have to be demolished, as the building appears to be beyond repair. The application was advertised in the July 26th edition of The Guardian, and letters were mailed to property owners within 60 meters or 200 feet of the subject properties. The medium-density residential R3 zone, which is the current zone that the property is within. The purpose of this zone is to provide for medium-density housing in the form of single-family, semi-detached, duplex dwellings, and other compatible uses. Permitted uses as of right in a medium-density residential R3 zone, subject to bylaw requirements, single-family dwelling, semi-detached dwellings, duplex dwellings, accessory buildings, assisted living, and manufactured homes, mobile homes lawfully existing prior to 1999. Discretionary uses subject to council approval in the R3 zone include medium childcare facilities, group homes, townhouses with 8 units per building maximum, rooming house, boarding house, nursing care facility, row house with 8 units per building maximum, social services agencies, tourism establishment, inn or apartment 4-unit maximum. And the tourism establishment inn also requires a conditional use permit. Conditional uses subject to a permit include home-based business, secondary suites, and tourism establishments, B&B, and vacation rental properties. Next, comments and questions. First of all, if the applicant is present or a representative of the applicant, they're invited to make any comments or presentations at this time, and then we'll allow the public to ask questions or make comments as well. So if Crystal McKenzie is here or a representative of Crystal, then she's more than welcome to make comments, and if not, we will. Or not, yeah, okay. So if anybody has, is somebody present here? Is Crystal here? No, it's Bruce and okay. So Bruce, you have no comment. So if the public has any questions directed to you, or you're able to answer them tonight as well, we'll just ask that whoever is speaking step up to the mic, and so everybody online can hear as well. So if anybody in the public here would like to ask any questions or make any comments, now's the time to do that as well. And if you could just step up to the mic and just state your name and your address for the record.
is, that'd be ideal. My name is Shelley Goody. I live at 482 North Market Street, C1N, 1M3. I have a few questions regarding the applicant for the number 5 there for the 4-unit complex on the corner. My concerns are the establishment, is there going to be enough room for the parking, and how many parking zones would there be is one of the questions. And my other one is in regards to the size of the building. I know it's going to be 4 units, but are they going to be like 2-bedroom units or 1-bedroom units? Does anybody know any of those answers?
It's basically a 2-bedroom.
If you wouldn't mind just stepping up to the mic as well, I know it's kind of a hassle in between using one mic, but people are online and they'd like to hear, so. And if anybody, if there's any questions that are asked tonight that can't necessarily be answered right on the spot, we'll have a report from staff that will be presented at the next meeting as well, so.
The existing building there, right now, it's probably gonna be twice the size. That's already there. It's gonna be 2 bedrooms in each unit. Just one apartment in the bottom, one beside it, and then one above each one. And the driveway, basically there'll be the one driveway's all be there, and then hopefully we'll get approval for one off the other street.
That was another one of my concerns. Are they going to approve it to go off the other street, St. Lawrence? So is it going to be a loop around drive-through, or is it just going to be there and there?
I don't know what they'd allow me, I don't know the rules.
Yes, I like, because I don't want that area, because it's not very large, to be too congested. Because
Sure.
if each unit, there's 4 units and each is 2 bedrooms, there could be, 8 cars or more.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know the regulations, so I couldn't really tell you. I don't know.
So just so everybody's clear, this, when we ask the questions here, we're not answering because we don't know the answers, the process is, you guys ask the questions, it goes to tech services, they come back with the answers.
Yeah,
So the next process is where we get all the answers to these questions, so don't take our silence as we're not listening or don't care what you're asking, okay?
yeah.
Yeah, so there is a three-part process. The first meeting tonight, we gather information, questions. Anything that can't be answered will be addressed in the report. That's at the next meeting, and then the decision is made at the 3rd meeting. So I'll have all those dates here shortly as well, so.
I also have another question
Yeah, go
then.
ahead.
So when would construction, once all this is done, would this be a fall project, or would it be later in the season, or would it be something that would be done in the spring?
Whenever we get approval, basically, we can start right away.
Okay.
I got the plans, that's all I got.
We
Anybody
have
wants-
the plans.
Yeah, you can have that if you want.
Thank you.
I know nothing about construction, so all I know is I wanna build it. We have quite a few workers that work for us. Right now, we got 2 other rental properties on Chestnut and basically filled right up. And the house that was there, my daughter was gonna move into it, but the previous tenant destroyed the house, so now it's gonna be tore down. And it wasn't much of a house before that, but she did the number on it, so. Yeah. Other than that, that's all I can tell you.
Is that all from, for
Anybody
questions,
else
or?
have anything else you want me to ask? What's that here? Okay, you go right ahead, sir. He's with me, and he's going to state who he is.
Good day, my name is Robbie Burton. I also live at 482 North Market Street. Just when this goes out to tech services, I want someone to ask them to give a fair evaluation if the water and sewer infrastructure is in place to handle 3 more residential families in that neighborhood, because I know pretty soon you're gonna receive another request for something similar a couple of doors down. So if you're gonna start building big apartment buildings all over the west end of Summerside, we may need to consider updating the infrastructure to make sure it's accommodating. So that's my biggest concern, is to make sure that we have enough parking there, and that the infrastructure from the city is there to handle those extra families coming into the neighborhood. So that's my biggest concern, is the infrastructure and the parking. So we can get tech service to go over what's already there for the infrastructure that's existing, because I know I have an 8-unit apartment building in my backyard, and there was no due diligence done by this council whatsoever and it was proved against tech services recommendations. So I just want to make sure this council, when they're getting recommendations from tech services, they try to follow them a little bit. That's all I have to say.
Perfect, thank you. And as far as, like with water flow and capacity and sewer capacity, that's always addressed in the next report as well, whether the area can handle it or anything that's recommended.
I have a big apartment unit in my backyard. There was no assessments done there, because the tech services came into this hall and said if the variance that was approved, when tech services did their assessment, they said if the variance that was approved that was being applied for, it would go against every zoning bylaw in the country, not just PEI, but the whole entire country. Every council member voted for it, knowing it was wrong. So that's what you may get a report from tech services, but are you going to follow a report? That's my main concern, because this council has proven over the years they don't follow those reports. They do what they want. So if an assessment comes back that says this is not good for that neighborhood, I want some assurances that it's going to be followed or looked into, so that the citizens' concerns are addressed as well, right?
Okay.
Because there's the big unit right, the empty lot right next door.
And typically, I mean, I can only speak for my history on council. Recommendations that come in from staff are typically, the majority of the time, followed, and that's what they are. They're recommendations. It's not mandatory for council to go with staff or go against staff, but typically, at least from what I've seen in my time here, recommendations from staff are usually followed. But the data that you were pointing to, the sewer capacity and that sort of thing, those numbers are always included in the report that will come in.
Do you have a time frame of when the next meeting's going to
I do have the dates when the next meeting is. Yeah, they're coming up here in a couple pages, and I'll let you know the times and the dates and everything. So yeah, that is part of the of this meeting. Yeah, and also there is a letter that came in that I will read as well from someone that couldn't be here, but I did notice that 2 other people just walked in. Or if there's any questions that you may have about this application on North Market Street, or maybe it's for the other item on the agenda, but we are taking questions or comments now for the North Market Street application, 489 North Market. If anybody else has anything that they'd like to add on that.
Hi, I'm Daryl Durage. I live at 478 North Market. This piece of property that he's putting this building on, has the city looked at it, see if it's big enough?
Those, I mean, this might be a better question for Linda or Aaron, but Aaron, when it comes to lot sizes and required frontage and everything, that must comply with the zone that it's in, so that will be addressed. Maybe there's an answer that right now, I don't know, but I'll let Linda and Aaron speak to that.
Again, we're just here for the rezoning, and the separate part will be when they come in with an application is that they comply with the setbacks that exist in the R3 zone.
Okay, yeah, so when the application comes in for the building permit, when the building permit application comes in, it has to comply with the required distances from side yards and frontage.
Because when I look at these blueprints, there's just no way that this jives. You people should have a look at this before this meeting started. We wouldn't perhaps have to have this meeting.
Well, this is the first meeting in a process that has to take place regardless. So this is the meeting where that information comes in, and between now and when the decision is made, we take that information, and that's what we need to.
So you're going to let us know when the next meeting is?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
And it is, of course, a public meeting, and yeah.
I am curious about the blueprints that Daryl references, and
Yeah, if we could get copies of those,
Yeah,
that'd be
'cause
great,
they're
obviously
not
in
part of our
advance.
package
Yeah.
that we received. So I would be, if there's blueprints, it would be interesting to make
Yeah.
sure that we see them.
But again, of course, that is part of the building permit stage, but.
Yeah.
These ain't blueprints, these are from Kent Building Supplies.
Okay.
Blueprints come from an architect
Or site plan, whatever they are, it needs to comply for the building permit stage.
maybe you can only build a 2-unit there, that's all I'm here for.
And yes, and just one more thing, I want to verify about the 2 parking spots, one on 2 different streets. So, like, is that going to congest everything? So, could you check into that as well, please, when you send everybody their letters?
Yep, traffic capacity and flow is typically part of the
Because
report as well.
The rink is right up that street too, and when things happen there, there's everything's going on, you know what I mean?
Yeah, we're definitely gonna address traffic for sure as well. All right, I will, there will be another opportunity, but I will read this letter that was asked to be read, so I'll read that as well. It is from Ann Trainer of 14 St. Lawrence Street. It's addressed to Linda Stevenson, Tech Services. I'm reaching out to you in response to the above address and a letter for discretionary use application I received. I am unsure if I will attend the meeting August 9th, 2023, but wanted this letter to be noted as a public comment of concern. There's much more information needed for myself or other residents contacted in order to be on board. Concerns are raised regarding the number of occupants allowed in a 4-unit apartment, how many bedrooms per unit, etc. The parking is definitely a concern due to the adjacent properties with driveways in close proximity to this property, in such that parking would overflow onto the other street, St. Lawrence Street, my street. I want it stated, I am not against development or progress. This is my home of over 30 years and typically very quiet residential neighborhood. A 4-unit apartment potentially could or would change that. There may be other concerns based on what the owner has planned, which the details aren't clear yet to me or residents in the area. I would look at having more details about the proposed plans. I can't speak for others, only myself. However, 2 other neighbors did express concerns to me similar to mine, and I realize it is upon them to speak out. Also, the adjacent property known as Hippenstall's Place, who owns this property? And is there any plans for the owner of 489 to purchase it? In closing, it is already noted that Mr. Palmer has tended to the property very positively by an immediate property cleanup that was long overdue and by cutting the grass regularly to this point in time. Linda, it's all about keeping the neighborhood peaceful and development that makes sense to everyone. Regards, Ann Trainer, 14 St. Lawrence Street. And again, there was questions there. I think a couple may have been addressed already. And again, a lot of these times people will send letters or, ask why more information wasn't presented right off the bat. But time and time again, we have to explain. I think it's important to explain that this is the first step in these processes, to have this first meeting. This is where the questions come in, and this is where the information is started to gather. So that's why there's sometimes a lack of information, because this is where it all begins. So is there anyone else that would like to comment or ask questions? Please just, again, state your name and address. And
Yes, hi. So my name is Nicole Yeba, and so I'm the owner of 469 North Market. And I just wanted to understand, because we just arrived a little bit late, so is it that building, is that going to be destroyed and it's going to be a new building that's going to be with the 4 units?
yeah, the plan, as the owner just mentioned before you arrived, was to demolish that building and build new. Just due to the state of the building and the condition that it's in, it's not usable as is.
Okay, and then how long would it take for the construction? Just wondering, like, is it going to take like a few months, or?
That would
gonna
also
be-
depend on the owner and how fast he's able to get his contractors lined up and builders, but that's not really an answer that we would have as a council. That's sort of, if the application for the permit comes in quickly and approved quickly, then, and if builders are available to build quickly, it's kind of all on the developer builder in terms of the timeline. But it, I don't know, Bruce, did you have, if things were perfectly put through and you had an approval tomorrow, like, did you have a start date in mind, or?
Well, I got everything in order, Donnie
So it could be potentially this year, calendar year, okay? If that
Okay.
answers your question at all. If not, I think I did mention, I think before you arrived, that anything that can't be answered for sure today, again, this is information gathering, it will be answered at our next planning board meeting. So staff are compiling all the questions here in front of us today, and we'll have some answers to the things that can't be answered tonight.
Okay.
And if you think of anything between now and then, by all means, get in touch with your counselor or call in with questions, and we'll note those as well.
Okay, perfect.
And I will explain the process also, so. Counselor McDougall.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Drown. Just, Aaron, I think, is who I'll ask this to. They're asking for the discretionary use in an R3. That building is gonna be torn down. So the footprint, if Bruce is building a new building, and with all the side yard and rear yard and all that, if that only allows for a 2-unit, does he have to come back for a rezoning? Or can you build an R2 in a?
As of right. He could build a 2-unit as of right now.
Yeah,
Right, so,
as of right now?
yeah.
Oh, it's R3 now? Okay, I thought it was single family. Sorry, okay, thank you.
It may be used as a single family, but you can have a 2-unit building in an R3 zone now. Like, it may well be a single family, one entity now. That's what exists, but yeah.
So by rights, tomorrow he could put in a duplex, he could put in a semi-detached.
Yeah, if you look on the plan, there's one, on the plan, there's 2 houses over, there's an existing semi side by side there, but they're subdivided, but yeah.
Justin, I'm a bit curious the history of how it's R3, like it was a single-family dwelling. Do we know how it got to the R3?
But R3 can just allow single family, but just on
Yeah.
smaller frontages. So
Right.
a lot of the old town was built with smaller lots, so they, R1 to R3, sometimes in the R3, it's same things are allowed, but single family, they just can be allowed on smaller lots, smaller frontages.
Okay, got you.
Just a little more density because you're having them on smaller lots, so it goes up from the R1 to the R3.
Okay.
Councillor Drawn, just a little point to maybe take away for next time. I do wonder if it may be helpful for, at our next meetings going forward, to do the explanation of process before we get to the comments and questions.
Yeah,
Because
that's
we constantly, I think it is difficult for members of the public, it's difficult for us, because sometimes we think, where are we at in the stage? And we're often saying, we're going to explain the process.
Yeah.
So perhaps, I don't think there's any reason why we can't explain the process first, and explain that this is the point in time where this is the first time everyone's seen this, this is what the discretionary use is, and here's how the process will work going forward, because I think that's often one of the things that gets everybody hung up.
Yeah.
So perhaps we can flip those around in our meeting
I think
packages going forward.
that's a
It just
great
makes things
idea, yeah.
easier.
Great idea. Just open up the meetings with the process. Yeah, no, I agree. And now in saying that, I will explain the process. In order to process a discretionary use, the following steps are required. Step 1, the discretionary use is read at a public meeting, and that step is taking place this evening. Step 2, planning board reviews the application and prepares a recommendation to council. And that step 2 takes place at a planning board meeting, which will be August 21st at 6 p.m. So the report that staff will compile and answer many of the questions will be presented at that meeting on August 21st, 6 p.m. Step 3, the discretionary use is read to be adopted by council. The resolution will be either carried or defeated by vote of council. Step 3 will take place at council's second meeting. So this is council's first meeting, then there's a planning board meeting, and then council's third meeting. And that meeting where the decision will be decided, we'll likely announce that date on August 21st at that meeting. We don't have a firm date on that yet, but there'll either be a special council meeting called to make that decision, or we'll just add it on to our regularly scheduled committee of the whole meetings. But we'll make sure that we know that by August 21st. Please note that in accordance with Section 5.20 of the City Zoning Bylaw, any person who is dissatisfied by a decision of council in respect of the administration of this bylaw may appeal council's decision within 21 days to the Island Regulatory and Appeals Commission, IRAC. So that is all for 489 North Market Street. Again, August the 21st at 6 p.m. Next item is 121 Walker Avenue. Application for official plan and zoning amendments. Background, the City of Summerside has received an application from Enterprise Venture Group, Inc. for a portion of PID number 71911 to amend the city official plan from commercial land use to residential land use, and the zoning bylaw from service commercial C2 zone to high-density residential R4 zone. The purpose of the zoning amendment is to allow apartment building or buildings in the proposed R4 zone. The proposed official plan amendment is to change the land use from commercial land use to residential land use. The proposed zoning bylaw amendment is to change the zoning from service commercial C2 zone to high-density residential R4 zone. And there is a layout of the subject property. I guess to explain it, it would be behind Esso, behind what's currently developed on Walker Avenue. There's a phase 2, I believe, already underway there, and this is a phase 3. Would that be fair to say, Aaron or Linda?
Yep.
The application was advertised in the July 26th, 2023 edition of The Guardian, and letters were mailed to property owners within 60 meters or 200 feet of the subject properties. Okay, there it is. Proposed layout. So phase 1 is currently being under construction along with part of phase 2. And so this is an application to sort of continue that into phase 3. The current zone, service commercial, C2 zone. The purpose of this zone is to provide for large and medium-sized commercial uses which need road frontage for ready vehicular access and advertising exposure. Permitted uses in the current C2 zone. I guess I'll read them all just in the interest of the public. Animal care facility, hospital and kennel, automobile establishment, body shop, repair shop, sales establishment, service station, and washing establishment, bakery, bank or financial institution, building supply outlet, bus terminal, convenience and grocery store, funeral home, industry office style, liquor store, tourism establishment, motel or hotel, accessory building, private club, restaurant, dining room, takeout and drive-through, small and large retail store, service center, shopping center, and automobile storage facility. Those are all the permitted uses currently that don't need council approval, and next page has even more. Business, professional, and medical office, commercial school, small, medium, and large childcare facility, dry cleaner outlet, farmers / fishers market, parking lots, personal service shop, plant nursery, printing or publishing establishment, cannabis retail store, facility, outdoor storage area, self-storage and warehouse, alcohol manufacturer, brew pub, ferment on premises and microbrewery, taxi station, fitness center, and video arcade. Those are the commercial uses permitted in the C2. There are residential uses permitted as well: row house, social services agency, townhouse, commercial / residential building, residential dwellings lawfully existing prior to 1999, ancillary residence, public library, museum and gallery, or government offices. Those, what I just listed, were sort of a mix between residential and institutional, because I didn't see the institutional. So where I just said public library, museum and gallery, and government offices, those would be considered institutional. And a couple other institutional uses permitted there would be community center, emergency services facility, entertainment facility, place of worship, or college / university. So all those things are permitted today. Discretionary uses, subject to council approval in the current zone, C2. Commercial would be tavern, bar, lounge, crematorium, accessory use to a funeral home, flea market, pool hall, or tourism establishment, tourist home and inn. So there could be a crematorium there tomorrow, no questions asked. Institutional utility facility is also permitted in that C2 zone. Conditional uses, subject to a development officer approval, residential home-based business, tourism establishment, B&B, and vacation rental property, or secondary suites. So all of those things are permitted in the existing C2 zone. The proposed zone, high-density residential R4 zone, the purpose of this zone is to provide for high-density housing in the form of apartments, as well as housing in the form of single-family, semi-detached, duplex dwellings, row house, townhouse, and other compatible uses. Permitted uses in the proposed R4 zone, subject to bylaw requirements, single-family dwelling, semi-detached dwelling, apartment building, boarding house, accessory building, assisted living, duplex dwelling, group home, medium childcare facility, rooming house, row house, townhouse, community care and nursing home, or social services agency. Discretionary uses, subject to council approval, would be tourism establishment, tourist home and inn, which also requires conditional use approval, and conditional uses, subject to development officer approval, would be home-based business, tourism establishment, B&B and vacation rental properties, or secondary suites. If Donna McKay is here, the applicant, she is invited to make any comments that she would like. Please step forward and state your name and address.
Good evening, Your Worship, councillors, CAL McFarland, staff. Have been here for a while. Most of you know me, but for ones that don't, it's Donna McKay. Just a couple of comments. That whole area, the top half of it's already R4. Do you have that, the color-coded map? Well, we can just, yeah, it's not, yes. Right, that's all our R4 now. So it's just, it's kind of housekeeping because it's a piece of commercial sandwiched between two slices of R4. And not necessarily is it going to be apartment buildings. It just gives us the option to have all mixes. And right now, we don't know exactly what the demand will be. So if it's going to continue to be duplexes because that's high demand, then we will continue on, or we'll mix, or have R3, but at least it gives us that option without having to come back to council to rezone one lot at a time. Any questions?
Any questions from either council or public? I think that's a fair idea, so. Yeah.
Donna?
Yep.
And maybe Aaron, just at the, you know where the street comes in off of Walker? Right there, yeah.
Glance?
Yeah.
Yes.
And I've seen it just a minute now. I was just wondering about because somebody had said they go through there to the mall, to Walmart. Is that Walmart where they go to there?
There's kind of like a path there
If
now.
there was a pathway, right at the bottom, yeah,
Yes.
going up, keep going, go there. If there was a walkway or something like there to go,
There are people that do cut through
yeah,
in different areas. That this plan
Yeah.
is a draft.
Yeah.
It is by no means the final product.
right,
Because that's probably the second or third draft.
yeah,
When it comes back to actually be developed, we'll have a more better idea and a final
Yeah.
plan. But this is just to present how it
Right.
could go. But, yeah, I mean,
I had just heard previous that people.
somebody would
you know,
like to have a path.
Yeah, just,
We have a letter that will read sort of
Sure.
that touches on that too. Yeah.
Okay.
More of
Thank
a
you.
request.
Thanks,
yeah.
Don.
And so these lots, obviously, they're not subdivided yet. Is that
No.
right? No.
No.
So whether, the size of those lots will probably be determined by whether you want to go with apartments or R3. So
Yes.
Aaron or Linda, if this whole single PID now is zoned R4, if and when it is, when you subdivide that, do those all become R4? I think that's probably a rhetorical question, but just one that's sort of fuzzy in my mind. So if a piece of land is subdivided, do all those individual lots become the same zone as that original parcel of land?
They'll have to be subdivided large enough to fit whatever
Right,
development
yes,
they
yeah.
propose. They, even though there are 4, they may propose a
Right.
lower density, yeah.
Yeah, so if this is approved as R4 and you decide that you want to build R4, the lots have to be made big enough to accommodate
The
R4.
phase that's being constructed now is actually, the lower half is R3 and the upper half is R4.
Right,
But
yeah.
they're all
Yeah,
actually duplexes. It just gives you that option.
right. So the dense, I guess, to back up, the lots only have to be, we'll say, large enough to accommodate R4 if, say, for example, you wanted apartment buildings. If you want single-family homes, it's still R4, but the lots don't have to be as big. That's, I guess, okay. I probably just muddied a bunch of everything, but it was in my head sort of muddy anyway, so. Good.
Yep, go ahead.
The question that I have is just comments or questions that I hear from residents. You know, the smaller units, they're not duplexes, but they're on Dory View. Like they're small units with a separate garage. Do you have any kind of a demand for those? Like, because I find there's been quite a number of people that have asked that are downsizing, that want to go to something that's a bit more private than an apartment, ground floor. And I don't know if you get those kinds of questions or not, so I just thought I would ask it.
No,
No?
although I'd like to have one myself. But, no, that, I'm not really gonna construct anything, although I might. I kept a couple of lots. But, yeah, I don't get a lot of call. I mean, I know that with what's going on with housing, the smaller, hopefully the cheaper and the more affordable, but, yeah, no.
And I think that's where they were coming from, like
Yeah.
the smaller square footage, but still on that main level.
Yep. And
Anyway,
it makes it
just
a
asked
little
it.
bit more affordable.
Thanks.
All right, if there's no one else, I will read that letter that was sent in from Ken Trenholm, who is the spokesperson for Safe Summerside. Safe is, of course, streets are for everyone. With a question and concern just regarding the active transportation network in the city. Good morning, everyone. Please consider this email Safe Summerside's response to the proposed rezoning of a portion of PID 71911. Our all ages and all abilities AT network plan proposes a safe AT route from Gallant Street through to the Walmart parking lot, utilizing currently a grass trail on private property. But with this development, we see great potential for the route to be paved via the connector road as indicated in the proposed layout. The concern comes that this application is for the rezoning of the subject property, and he just includes 2 of the graphics that we're seeing here this evening. As this property falls directly on our proposed safe route, would it be possible, if staff and council so thought it of benefit, to add a caveat to the discussion/criteria, if approved, that space for a potential AT lane be created alongside the apartment building, assuming it's an apartment building, to support the safe AT route, much like criteria would be added to support the green space plan in other properties. This appears to be the easiest, lowest cost, and safest alternative than having AT traffic on Upper Granville Street. Thanks in advance, Ken Trenholm, spokesperson for Safe Summerside Alliance. So I think that's a valid conversation, either to have on the staff side with the developer or with council. It certainly would be a good fit to get travelers off of Granville Street and and through there, but I guess at the end of the day, that would be a conversation to have when development nears, I guess. It's hard to commit to putting something in on a street that doesn't exist yet. Councillor Snow looks like he really wants to say something.
I'm wondering what street they're referring to, so the extension of Galant that goes over to a dead end, like they're talking, the SAFE is asking about a trail going to Walmart. Am I right
Basically,
to say
where
that?
I guess in recent years, it's been nothing but layer and layer of asphalt. And people kind of, you know where that area is, where the
Yeah.
people use from Walker to Walmart?
The asphalt has only been on the south end, next to.
Yeah, it stops before the
right? It's
field,
not-
yeah.
It's not continued on.
No.
And the last draft I've looked at, there's no street over there.
Yeah, I guess I'm wondering if he's
No,
asking to
right.
go through somebody's
So that would-
property,
Yeah.
private property.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm just sort of curious how that works and
Yeah.
how we would,
So the boundary of your properties, or property,
Yep.
does that end on that pavement that is the entrance to Walmart?
Yes, well, no, I don't think it, I'd have to go back up and look, but I'm not sure Walmart's pavement goes to that boundary. I think
Okay.
it's grass. You know, when you drive
Sure, but
into
it's the Walmart
Walmart,
property. There's nothing in
dead
between.
ends, right? And you can't drive.
As you say, in the very top parcel, the larger parcel is Walmart.
Yeah.
We will include an aerial photo of the area in our submission.
Okay.
And it
Okay.
will show the existing pathways that kind of cut through
Okay.
there, yeah.
So it could be a bit more complicated than just putting a path along a new street. There could be,
And you're stubbing your
There's a
path
path there, yeah.
at the Walmart parking lot.
but I
Yeah,
think in the interest of what we've been doing with active transportation, it would certainly be worth a conversation with Walmart ownership and, you know, whatever, just to see what might be, you know, what people might be interested in accommodating, but.
yeah, I guess my question was around how we, or should we be, you know, actively saying to a developer, we need an active transportation through your property.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I'm sort of curious
Of
of how
course.
that would,
But even a sidewalk or something, it'd be worth having a,
yeah, exactly,
asking.
but anyway, that's just going through.
I don't think it would ever be a put this in or we're not gonna approve type situation.
no,
It's just
and
a
you-
conversation to,
You would also have to, like you said, you're gonna have to contact Walmart
Yeah.
to see if you can, people can walk off into their parking lot or wherever their traffic is, and that could create other,
Yeah.
you'd have to make, the
and,
ch-
and
chain.
that's a chat, obviously, for a
Yeah.
different, meeting, but it is a valid, I think, question to get things off of Granville Street, and if we can, but yeah, okay. So is there anyone else, questions, comments? If not, I'll, explain the process one more time in the middle of the agenda item. In order to process a zoning bylaw amendment, the following steps are required. Step 1, the zoning bylaw amendment is read a first time and declared as read at a first council meeting. Step 2, the zoning bylaw amendment is referred to planning board for review and recommendation. Steps 1 and 2 take place at the same meeting of council, and that is taking place this evening. Step 3, planning board reviews the application and prepares a recommendation to council. Step 3 takes place at the planning board meeting, and that is again August 21st, 6 p.m. Step 4, the zoning bylaw amendment is read a second time and declared as read at a second council meeting. And again, that meeting will be, I guess, more or less in stone and announced at the planning board meeting on August 21st. Step 5, the official plan. Just want to make sure I got that right. Step 5, the official plan amendment is read to be adopted by council. The resolutions will be either carried or defeated by vote of council. If the official plan amendment is adopted by council, the amendment is sent to the Minister of Housing, Land and Communities for signature, and the amendment becomes official. If the official plan amendment is defeated, the zoning bylaw amendment will be defeated as well, as the zoning amendment cannot contradict the official plan amendment. Step 6, the zoning bylaw amendment is read to be adopted by council. The resolution will be either carried or defeated by vote of council. If the zoning bylaw amendment is adopted by council, it is sent to the Minister of Housing, Land and Communities for signature, and the amendment becomes official. So steps 4 to 6 take place at council's second meeting, which will be decided or reported, announced August 21st. Please note that in accordance with Section 5.20 of the City Zoning Bylaw, any person who is dissatisfied by a decision of council in respect of the administration of this bylaw may appeal council's decision within 21 days to the Island Regulatory and Appeals Commission, IRAC. And there are two resolutions that go along with this zoning bylaw, zoning amendment application. First resolution, COS 23-108, moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Gallant. Whereas an application was received from Enterprise Venture Group, Inc. for a zoning amendment for a portion of PID number 71191 from service commercial C2 zone to high-density residential R4 zone under the City of Summerside zoning bylaw. Be it resolved that zoning amendment 0246 be hereby declared as read a first time. And Schedule B is attached. Schedule B, zoning amendment 0246, a bylaw to amend the City of Summerside zoning bylaw. The Council of the City of Summerside, under authority vested in it by Section 18 and Section 19 of the Planning Act, RSPEI 1988, Cap P-8, hereby enacts as follows. The zoning for a portion of PID number 71191, shown on Schedule B of the City of Summerside zoning bylaw, is designated as a high-density residential R4 zone, hereby excluding it from its former designation of service commercial C2 zone. And I will hand it over to
Thank you, Councillor
Mayor
Duran.
Dan.
So I'll call for a vote with respect to Resolution COS 23-108, moved by Councillor Duran, seconded by Councillor Gallant. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that resolution is carried. Councillor Duran?
Resolution COS 23-109, moved by myself and seconded by Councillor McDougall. Whereas an application was received from Enterprise Venture Group, Inc. for a zoning amendment for a portion of PID number 71191 from service commercial C2 zone to high-density residential R4 zone under the City of Summerside zoning bylaw. And whereas zoning bylaw amendment 0246, a bylaw to amend the City of Summerside zoning bylaw, was read and declared as read a first time at this council meeting, be it resolved that zoning bylaw amendment 0246, a bylaw to amend the City of Summerside zoning bylaw, be hereby referred back to the Planning Board for review and recommendation.
Thank you, Councillor. I'll call for a vote with respect to Resolution COS 23-109, moved by Councillor Duran, seconded by Councillor McDougall. All in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, that resolution is also carried. Thank you, Councillor. Over and out for item 6. That's it. You just walk away. Put the pen down. We'll now move on to item 7, which was part of the amended agenda. That is the collaboration agreement between the City of Summerside and La Belle Alliance. Yes, Donna, no problem.
Thank you. Have
Yeah.
a great evening.
Thank you, too. By quick way of background, I asked to have this put on our agenda as I was away for a few days. Didn't get a chance to get it on in time, and also wanted to make sure that the organization that the other organization that is involved with this collaboration agreement also had the opportunity to review it, and we finalized the document. So this comes a couple things. One, from some outreach work that we've been doing with our Francophone community and La Belle Alliance. Following a meeting with myself, Councillor Cameron as chair for a welcoming, diverse and inclusive community committee, and Director Laurie Ellis, Director of Arts, Culture and Diversity. Also Councillor McColeman, who had the opportunity to review and add feedback and input on those meetings and on this agreement. During the course of a meeting, it came up that there had been a collaboration agreement between the city and La Belle Alliance in the past. That agreement had expired. Both parties thought it would be good to review the opportunity to renew that agreement. Director Ellis, Director DeRosier as well, both worked on this, and the Councillor Cameron and Councillor McColeman. It was also then shared with La Belle Alliance. So the reason why it's on today as opposed to coming on at our next council meeting is August 15th is Acadian Day here in Summerside. We'll be raising the Acadian flag, and there'll be some ceremonies out front. This seemed like an appropriate time as well to sign this agreement, and I wanted to make, that's August 15th. And I wanted to make sure that this agreement was sanctioned or approved by council. I have no idea if it was 8 years ago, but I certainly thought it should be. Yeah, so this is it. If you want, I can ask either Councillor Cameron or Councillor McColeman if they want to read it. If not, I don't mind reading it as well. And then if council has any input or questions. This has been sent by email to all of you, so I think everyone's had a chance to look at it. And as I said, La Belle Alliance has, their board of directors has reviewed it and signed off on it, as has staff here at the City of Summerside. Any questions on the process? No. Councillor, do you want to read it? Do you want me to read it? I will probably read it quickly, but.
I can read it.
That's excellent. Thank you.
I was trying to make Councilor McColeman do it, but she gave me a nod for me to read it. Halfway through, I'll pass it off. All right, whereas according to Statistics Canada, close to 1/3 of the city of Summerside's population is of Acadian and French heritage. The city therefore recognizes the value of the French language in the Acadian culture in Summerside as an important culture, social, and economic resource, and wishes to promote the vitality of this Acadian and Francophone community. Whereas the Acadian and Francophone community of Summerside loves the city and wishes to contribute to Summerside's culture, social, and economic prosperity, and whereas Summerside City Council and Board of Directors of La Belle Alliance wish to collaborate on a regular basis and to formalize their collaboration. Both parties accept to collaborate from August 15th, 2023 to August 15th, 2028 on the following basis. La Belle Alliance will collaborate with the City of Summerside along the following lines. Encourage Acadians and Francophone of Summerside to do the following: participate in activities organized by and in the City of Summerside, volunteer on the city's committees, boards, and other working groups, attend the City Council meetings and inform Council of important events, activities, plans, milestones, and initiatives or policies that may have impact on the city, organize recreation activities in French using equipment and facilities located in the city or operated by the city, promote the City of Summerside as a host of culture and tourism events in French and collaborate with the city in hosting such events. For example, Candidate program and events, Summerside Art Festival programs and events, diversity inclusion programming and events, support Summerside sport and event tourism strategy sets by providing, where available, Francophone resources to support the staging of national and international events and supporting sets efforts in being fully bilingual entities. Promote Summerside as a host for Francophone immigrants and collaborate with the city in recruiting, welcoming, integrating, and retaining Francophone immigrants. The City of Summerside will collaborate with La Belle Alliance on the following initiatives provisional on the availability of senior government funding. Develop a vision and strategy to translate the city's website and its contents, as well as other city documents for public consumption. Add bilingual as a preferred skill when hiring communication and frontline staff in the City of Summerside. Invent methods to increase public visibility of French-speaking staff already employed by the city. The City of Summerside will support La Belle Alliance in their effort to hosting sport events and cultural events in Summerside through bid support, sourcing of financial support, and event resources as needed. Both parties will collaborate to secure funding from Canadian Heritage and the province of the implementation of this agreement. Both parties will aim to promote the other's activities. Both parties will meet once a year to review the previous year's collaboration and effort and progress achieved, to outline the upcoming year's collaboration efforts, and to identify improvements to the effective and mutual collaboration. To these ends, both parties signed the agreement on this day of August 15th, 2023. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Cameron. Any questions? There being none, I think we'd put a resolution then. I think I'll put a resolution on the floor to adopt the collaboration agreement. That'd be correct. So it'll be I sort of wrote this down as you were talking, Councillor. Resolution COS 23-110 to direct that the City of Summerside adopt the collaboration agreement between the City of Summerside and La Belle Alliance, the parties, as appended, and we can append that to the resolution, please, and direct the mayor to execute said agreement at a suitable date between the parties. Also, just to note that the resolution should be translated into English and French and be effective in both languages as read. So I call for a motion to put forward that. Councillor Snow, second. Councillor Adams. Councillor Adams, you're okay with the second? I know your hand went up for the first. All in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, we'll consider that resolution adopted and that collaboration agreement adopted. Thank you, Councillors Cameron and McCollum. That's it. So with that, anything else? Yes, Councillor Morrison, of course you can.
And this may not have anything to do with this. I was just, does this group also have a part to play in this school on South Drive? The French school? Do they?
Yeah, they operate out of the French school in
Yeah,
South
but they're
Drive,
not,
yes.
they don't run the school. It'd be the school board, I assume. Or
That's
the-
correct.
Okay, well, I was just gonna make, I don't take a couple minutes of your time here, but it was brought to my attention that the city gives $1,000 bursary to Three Oaks grads every year. And there's probably, and I don't know the number, I wanna be careful saying a number because I really don't know what it is, but if there was a dozen people gonna graduate from grade 12 this year, coming year, at that school, then there was some thought that maybe they get left out because the city doesn't give anything out there. Now, I'm not naive enough to believe that there may be all kinds of things given out there that the 200 kids or whatever that graduate from Three Oaks are not eligible to get to. But I just thought if someone should look into that, or if there's, you know, if maybe those 12 kids that are graduating from high school, if there was a dozen, could be included in with the group of Three Oaks when they're giving out that $1,000 bursary, because they're probably Summerside kids, and they have no chance to, you know what I mean? Anyway, it was just brought up to me one day in passing, and I said, well, I could ask, and so, anyway, just seeing this tonight made me think of it, and so I just thought I'd mention it, if it was something we should give some food for thought or whatever, and look into, or whether it's even possible, I have no idea.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea, and I think one we should pass on to the Welcoming, Inclusive, and Diverse Communities Committee to look at. They're going to have representation from the Francophone community, so certainly. And I know Councillor Cameron did attend the graduation ceremony at the French school here in Summerside, and I attended the one at Three Oaks, and there were a lot of awards. Certainly more than when I was in high school, although I didn't receive any awards in high school, so perhaps that's why I don't remember any of them, but
Yeah.
there are
But-
certainly lots.
Yeah, but if the city gives out one $1,000 bursary, and I don't know what they give out, but that's what I was led to believe, I'm just thinking, you know, there may be a dozen kids from the Summerside area graduating from a different high school that don't have an opportunity to receive that.
Absolutely, yeah.
And maybe,
Yep.
maybe we should make it fair that
Well,
every high
yeah.
school graduate from Summerside has the opportunity.
It's certainly within the spirit of this agreement as well.
Right.
Yeah. And then if it's at the French school, I was gonna say that our CAO's son can't win all the awards if we give some out of the French school. No, it's okay. That was the award hall. Anything else from council on this or anything else? Okay, then we will adjourn our meeting. Thank you, everybody. Have a great night.